Welcome to the So Far So Rare podcast. We're on YouTube this week as well, but you can find us every week on Apple, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts. A humongous guest. It's Nicolas Julia, the co-founder and CEO of Sorare. And in fairness to him, he answered every question I asked. He didn't tell me not to ask any. I hit him with everything. The Premier League, rewards, the future of Sorare, future revenue streams, baseball, limited pro, you name it. I asked it. He gave us an answer. Enjoy this. Please do like the video and subscribe to the channel while you're here. And do go and find us on Apple and Spotify for all the future episodes and all the past ones. Nicola, welcome to the podcast. It's been a long time that I've been using Sorare, and it's an absolute honor to have you on the podcast. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, John, for having me, and thank you for everything you are doing for the community.
No, we've been plugging away. This podcast is just over a year old now, so time for the biggest guest we've had. And I appreciate you coming on because I know it can be hard, I suppose, in your role. You know, we obviously have lots of questions as a community, and there's a lot that you can and cannot answer. But in fairness to everyone listening to this, I sent over a list of questions beforehand, half expecting to be told, don't answer or don't ask this one, don't ask this one, you can't answer that one. But you've just said, fire on, hit me with the hard ones, hit me with them all. So there's nothing that I'm not allowed to ask. So you're in trouble.
As I told you, I want to be as no bullshit as possible. So I will do my best.
I appreciate that. So look, we get stuck right into them because there are lots of questions, and fair play to the community. Lots of them sent them in. So I'm kind of going off a few of the most liked ones and then a few other questions I want to ask. So we'll start off nice and easy. This is something I always speculate about because that's why I'm on Sorare. It's for the long term. If we were to look sort of 5 years from now, if we were to kind of try and nail down a few specifics in terms of what the ceiling for Sorare could look like, what would you like to see it look like if everything went to plan?
Yeah, so I think like the big vision is to be the place where, as a sport fan, you want to spend time in general, to have fun, to spend time with your friends, and to collect, so express who you are and express your passion. So I think there's obviously we started with these two pillars, like the collecting angle and the fantasy angle. Like we have a lot to do to improve the collectability and allow you to sort your cards, build your collection, share it on social network. Like it's like just getting started. We have a lot also to improve the fantasy angle. And once you have these two pillars really solid, then like I want this place to be. So if we talk about football, to be the place where you come check the rankings, the ratings of the players, where you check the scores, where you come before the games to hear the best players in the world, giving the predictions for the game week. Maybe you're gonna watch some sport at some point. Maybe you're gonna hear from the top journalists some analysis after the games. Really, like this place must be the place where you spend time as a fan to again like collect, express your passion, have fun with the game, meet new friends, and spend time with your friends. Also, something that is really important in my vision, in our vision at Sorare, is really like the bridge between the physical and the digital. Like fantasy is really fun because it's about what's happening on the pitch, and you have this, this bridge between the pitch and what you do as a manager. But I think the other way around is very interesting too. Like I see like buying an NFT in Sorare, like a card as being part of a club, a community. And when you buy something, you unlock stuff in the physical world, meeting a player, going to the stadium, like all of this, like we're gonna do a lot more in the coming months. We have a lot of assets in our deals with the leagues, with the clubs that we're gonna offer the community. So it's a bit of all of this, like the obviously the entertainment, the gaming, the collecting, the social, and way more. So it's yeah.
It sounds like you're trying to make the social network of football. You know, it sounds like everyone will be coming to Sorare to do everything they need to do. And it's really interesting what you're saying, particularly for me about the physical and digital, because it's something I've always thought about and speculated myself, sort of saying like, ETH has a value, cards have a value at the minute. If we look at like in terms of what hasn't got a value or what is invaluable, that's where fan experiences come in. Like what would a diehard Barcelona fan pay to go and have a VIP experience and meet the team? What would they pay? What would that do for the platform and for the sustainability of it and for the reward scalability as new users come in? I've always speculated on this podcast that the reason maybe we aren't seeing as much of those fan experiences happening, even though there's been some amazing things, the Sevilla Betis mini documentary that you made, is maybe the legwork or actually having people to deal with the logistics in Sorare, because obviously you've been employing people for some time now, and maybe we're going to start to see the fruits of that labor very soon.
Yeah, no, I think you're totally right. I think there's a lot of infrastructure that needs to be built before offering these experiences. So just when you think about the jerseys, like you have like literally dozens and I think even though hundreds of clubs like sending you jerseys, like a lot of signed jerseys and so on. And so you need to build the infrastructure to receive, to sort, to dispatch, and then like it seems trivial, but really it is not. And so we've built most of it, and in the coming weeks, you're gonna start like showing stuff, seeing stuff. Sorry, on the game weeks in terms of prizes and so on. So like a lot of things, a lot of work has been done behind the scenes. And maybe to get back to the beginning of your question or your point about like the social network and so on. I think that sports is unique in the fact that it brings people together, right? And I think that's our mission, like to unite sports fans across the globe around an experience that is owned by the fans, that is player owned. That's what we want to do. And it's amazing to see it's a global product. It's amazing to see we are selling in 184 countries, and we want to go further down this element of like bringing fans together. Something that I'm really fascinated about is like the community coming together in physical spaces, like football tournaments and so on. These are initiatives we're going to help at some point. It's amazing to see it's happening organically, but I want to do things for the community and to help them. So we are thinking about ways to help the community organize themselves around this. So I hope that's helpful.
Well, I've always known if you want to retweet from big man Nicola, you need to just post a photo with some Sorare bros. And we've got a big event coming in London on the 5th of August. This is a nice natural time to plug it, I suppose. I mean, there's already 50 to 60 Sorare managers confirmed to be coming to London. People flying in from all over the world to be there. So excited to do that, because I've met a lot of people from the community in person, and it's amazing because the instant bond you have talking about Hans Vanaken or Cecilia is insane. It's absolutely crazy. But what I will say, Nicholas, is we've talked about like the best case scenario, I suppose, or what you view the next 5 years, like the dream. What do you think the biggest threat to Sorare in the next sort of 2 to 5 years is? Like, what do you think if you were sitting there in 5 years and you're like, what went wrong? What do you think it would be that was the reason it went tits up?
I think as for any organization or company, always number one is people. It's any sports team is always about like who's your people, how do you attract them, who are you attracting, how do you onboard them, how do you train them, how do you grow them, how do you retain them. It's always about the people. So, and then the execution, because you have the best people, then you are able to execute world class and to go where you want to go, being the biggest company in the world of sports entertainment. So I think the biggest threat is about like not being able to attract the best and to retain the best, and to have people that are obsessed about the users, the community, and so you are saying like like I'm liking and retweeting like pictures and the community, because that's my obsession. Like I'm reading Twitter and Discord every day. Like obviously now I'm missing some stuff, but I'm connecting every day. Why? Because I'm passionate, because I'm obsessed about serving the users, and every decision we are making, like sometimes we are doing things wrong, and like there's nothing we can do about this, but hopefully we're going to do less and less wrong. But like every time, that this is the question I'm asking: is it serving the community? Is it serving the fans that we have? And so the risks are not attracting the best, and like kind of losing this relationship. And so everything I'm building at the company level is like trying to make sure that we keep this interaction, we keep on listening the feedback, acting on it. And again, like sometimes we do it wrong, but like learning from it and growing.
Well, something I've noticed is, in the past, it's been spoken about how the fact that like Sorare employees can't play the game because of the corruption or the collusion that could come from that. But I've seen recently you've hired a few people from the community, and they're unfortunately having to sell up their galleries and move on. But I think that's a really positive move. Was that a like strategic, purposeful decision? Like, let's target people, to get them in who know the game, who know the community, who know what people want, as opposed to maybe people from outside companies who've done really well in their career, huge CVs, but maybe don't necessarily understand the ins and outs of Sorares and the intricacies of DMPs and whether subs will happen and this is and that's. Was that something that you're excited for? You think will help?
Yeah, so first off, on the fact that we cannot play the game, it was a tough decision, but I think it's the right one because we want to preserve like a fair environment for the community again. And I think even if it's painful in building the product, I think it was the right move. So that's number one. Then obviously, like yes, it's a conscious decision to bring people from the community. We did it with Justin. We just did it with I think you're mentioning Zurov. I don't
Yeah,
know how to
that's
pronounce.
who was in my head. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Because obviously, like you want people that are passionate, that know the product really deep, and that connect with the community really deep, and where they want us to go. So yes, we're gonna do more of this hiring. It's really important. So yeah, it's definitely a conscious decision, and I think like people that are gonna bring a lot to the product and to the community.
I want to ask you something personally, and again, I personally won't read between the lines. I can't speak for everyone listening. This is not trying to put you on the spot or get information leaked. If I was to ask you personally, as Nicola, what sports you think in the future fit Sorare as a brand, or what sports you personally like, are individual sports an option? You're going to say them all. We want to take over the world, but if I was to push you to pick like your three top targets for the future, like what sports do you like the look of, and this is actually a follow up question, but I'll hit you with it now. Is the sports you get a really strategic targeted thing, or is it almost opportunistic in that if a license comes up on a sport that fits, even though it mightn't be first choice, if the license is there, let's go? Is it a kind of opportunistic thing, a strategic thing, target exactly who we need, bit of both? So what would you like to see in the future, and how do then licenses generally come about?
Yeah, it's a very good question. So I think my first answer is obviously my commitment is to bring all the top sports league in the world, and we're gonna get down. Then to be more concrete and answer your question, so my passion on top of football is tennis, my personal passion. So I think I would love to see it. You asked me on a personal level. So sometimes my personal taste is different from what the company needs
Yeah.
to do or is going to do. But you asked me something personal, so I've been playing tennis a lot when I was younger. And I think it's a global audience with some massive stars, and it's a sport that lacks like a world class and mainstream entertainment experience. So I think there's something to do there. But at a company level, I think that I've been public about the fact that this year we're gonna launch two US sports. I think that baseball was a very conscious decision. Like I think it's an amazing fit. Like collecting. Started somewhere like in baseball. Fantasy started with baseball. It's a data-driven sport. It's an amazing fit for the product that we are building. It's also an amazing fit for the league and the union because they want to expand their reach outside of the US, and so this is something we can help them with, hopefully. So I think it was an amazing fit for everyone. And then like we're gonna keep adding like the top sports. So there's more that is expected by the end of the year, as I said, and then for next year. But to be really like very concrete, it's a mix of like being kind of like thinking about what's the best next sport, but also sometimes you have like a top sport who's here, like and that you can take right now, and you need to take it. Otherwise, like you have someone else that is taking it for like 4, 5, 6 years. And if you have the ambition we have, you cannot let this happen, right? So you need to be out there. And if you ask me, even like you push me even further, like I would have tell you probably if it was me, I would have waited a little bit before launching a new sport because football is very early still, and so I would have like probably focused more. But then sometimes you need to have complicated decisions, and you need to make a cut because otherwise someone else is
Yeah.
taking it. And I think it's really beneficial even for football that we have other sports. Like we're gonna bring a whole new audience when we're gonna really start being aggressive, with US sports and so on. That's gonna be beneficial for everyone. I'm really like convinced about this.
What US sports are there? So there's obviously like hockey, football, basketball. Are there any ones I'm forgetting? Or like, does tennis count as American or is it global?
No, I would. Yeah, I would not like count like individual sports as US sports. I think
Yeah.
the sports you mentioned are part of what they call like big US leagues.
US sports. I would have
Yeah.
thought that, yeah. So yeah, look, it's really interesting what you're saying. Thanks for your transparency and all that. I'm going to ask you a couple of more. We'll keep building. Then we're going to hit you with a couple of wham bam ones that the community have submitted. Nicola, I'm gonna put the
Yeah.
blame on them, not me. But if you could go back to the beginning in hindsight, like, is there anything you would have done differently when you were building Sorare? Is there anything like really obvious that you were like, oh, if only I'd known now?
Yeah, no, I think it's a good question. I think we moved fast on the deals side, like on the rights, but like knowing like how fast we grew the community and so on, maybe I would have gone even faster on that
Mm.
side and securing even more deals because like after with all the success that we had and so on, like the prices like went up and
Yeah.
like the competition went up as well. So probably I would have done this differently and taken a bit more risk here. So that's probably the one thing that comes to mind.
Yeah, it's always nice when you look back and easy when you look back thinking, God, I wish. It's like when I look back at Sorare, I'm like, oh, God, back in 2019, I wish I'd bought a bigger gallery. I wish I'd bought a Liverpool stack. But look, why didn't I get more uniques? It's the same sort of thing on a different level altogether.
Yeah.
So, baseball, it's been a great success, the launch, I thought. One difference in it to football, there's a million differences, but one big difference, and it's something that we've been calling for in the football side for a long time, was a limited pro division. So we've seen that implemented to baseball. It's not yet in football. A lot of people here maybe in that limited sort of space in the football world want somewhere to go. Obviously, no goalkeepers in the threshold teams as of like next week. So people are wanting the next level where they can pick up a rare, pick up two rares to put with their limiteds. Is that something we can see with football coming? And if not, is there a reason why not? Or is I
Yeah.
don't know if you can tell me about this. I just thought I'd hit you with
Yeah,
it.
no, I'm happy to touch on this. And first of all, I think that we've seen the request around limited pro for football, and we are taking note and we are analyzing. I think, I mean, to get back to your question, like there's no immediate plans to implement. I think there's like a couple of tournaments
Yeah.
that we are iterating with, like underdog, specialist, and also a couple of others that we're gonna announce in the coming weeks that we are very excited about. But again, like this is something that could happen in the future. There's no immediate plan. We're not
Mm.
working on it, but like we are keeping this open, and this is something that could happen at some point.
Yeah, I think everyone's praised, the variation in the tournaments recently, trying the Threekleys and the specialists and the underdogs and the over 32s, even a bit of fun. Trying all these things out is great because it's just seeing what works and what doesn't work and giving everyone a taste for things and seeing what people resonate with. And while everyone does obviously want more utility, more utility, more utility, there's inevitably a finite number of rewards. And the likes of the limited pro, well, I think it's a great fit and it makes sense. We do have a lot of other options at the limited level at the minute to maybe subsidize for the fact that we don't. But again, it'd be interesting. And I think if that ever did come, it would be massively like well accepted or well received. Another in terms of baseball, there's a lot of things around the launch that went really, really smoothly. There's a few tiny hiccups here and there, but nothing major. Are you happy with how it's all went? Are you excited for where it's going? What are your initial thoughts on baseball and its first couple of weeks?
I think I'm generally speaking happy with the launch. Like
Mm,
it's above our expectations when we look at all metrics. So I think we're happy. Also, given the fact that we haven't started marketing the product because there's a lot
mm,
we're gonna iterate in the coming days, and a lot of activations with the league and the teams and so on that are ahead of us. So I think generally speaking, like it was like. Yeah, a lot of work has been done on the background, like to abstract, like all like the football related stuff from the
mm,
platform and to build a product like a tech infrastructure where you can launch new sports. And so baseball has been like a lot of work, and then it's going to be easier for the
mm.
next one. So generally speaking, I think it's positive. I think on the negative side, like there's a couple of impacts on the football product in terms of user experience and so on. And so that is something we're working on to fix, and that was obviously like not expected for most of it. So that we're gonna fix. But generally speaking, I think it was smooth. It was nice.
I'll tell you something that I didn't even consider that's absolutely amazing. We now have more rewards days. Whenever you're playing two sports and the game weeks are slightly staggered, I got a wee reward through yesterday in baseball, and I was,
Yeah,
oh, what's this? So
yeah.
as more and more sports are added, and more sports are played, you could be getting rewards all through the week.
Yeah, but
Um,
even for football, like my vision is at some point, like if we execute the way we are on the partnership side of things, and if we keep on being creative on the gameplay side and tournaments, I think there's a world at some point where you can engage with your cards every day and have fun every day. So maybe
well,
not
that's
rewards
that's the
every day, but
goal because
that's something, yeah, I have in mind. Yeah.
and again, I know it is your problem, but it isn't necessarily at the forefront of mind. But as someone who makes content about So Rare, my biggest not issue, and it's because it just the platform is what the platform is, because everything's so real time. When you're trying to like, if I want to go and put out like a streaming schedule and I want to go full time and stream all the time and make content all the time, there really is a finite amount of time I would spend on the site itself. I'll go over to So
Yeah.
Rare data, and even there it gets boring after a while because nothing's
Yeah.
happening. You're waiting for football. So
Yeah.
unless you're streaming during games on a Monday morning from 9 o'clock to 6 in the evening, and probably all day to be fair, Mondays, you probably can't do much. So whenever there's a really engaging sort of, if you lean into the collectability stuff, and I can go in and like do challenges and build this and do that and collect that and trade this and get that and try and go for the limited edition this, and that's maybe where, like, from a content standpoint, more and more people lean in and put more time in. But you know
No,
how it is.
that's a point. That's a point. Like I can tell you. Like first of all, like I gave the direction to the team to develop streamable content, right? Like so content that people would be excited to see. And I think on the reward side, like we are just getting started. Like this is an
Mhm.
experience that must be like very very exciting and streamable. But there's other parts of the product where we can develop such experiences. So this is something where you can expect to see some progress, and we are hiring like really world class people, talents that gonna help them to get down.
Yeah, because even like something as small, people are gonna laugh. People who listen to this podcast, Nicola, I know that I always talk about the club shop and the achievements. I just think when I look at the likes of the Fortnite models and the Call of Duties and whatever, where it's free to play, but people spend billions on aesthetics, I think
Yeah,
like like the prime demographic of So Rare might be whatever, I don't, you know it better than me, 23 to 40-year-old males. But
yeah.
and we might all like to think we're bigger and better than buying skins, but I'm telling you now, you see if that club shop had a few things people could target, people would do whatever they could to get their hands on those coins and play the game and engage and put time into the site to get that aesthetic looking profile picture or banner or club. And I think that's a really exciting place it can go. And a lot of people might look at that and go, I wouldn't care. Why would I care? I just want to win
Yeah.
SO5. And that's fine. But I think more people have bigger egos than they let on, and
No,
they
of
want to
course,
get the
of
fun.
course, the bragging rights and all of this. I mean, this we are working on this. Like, I think that the big next step for the game is obviously fixing rewards. We know that we need to fix rewards
Yeah.
and keep on fixing them. And I think we've made progress, and probably we're gonna touch on this later on the pod. But there's like still like room to go down. But then on top of this, we need to have an experience that goes beyond the product like loop where I collect a card, I compose my team, I play a tournament. Like what's beyond this? And so you mentioned achievements. So we're working on something that is, like around these lines, but bigger, better, more exciting, where you can progress as a manager, you can unlock things. And so all this experience is being built. This is something that I'm very excited about, because again, like this is tapping into stuff like as fans we want to show to our friends that we are skilled at football. We know football, right? And you want to show your passion as well. You want to show your collection about your team, about your national team, and so on. So this is something I'm very passionate. This is something we're working. This is something that takes time to do well and to balance and so on and so on. So there's not something that's going to be live next week, but this is something that I'm very excited about.
Yeah, me too. Very, very excited. I always think back to like the Fortnite winners umbrella and thinking in Sorare, like when I win a competition, having something in my gallery that I can be like, this is my winner's cup. This is my winning thing. There's a million things you can do, but we move on. That's just very exciting for me long term. We may as well get into the rewards you touched on, and I have to give Simply Alex a shout out because this is his question, how it's phrased. I'm just going to hit you with what he put on Twitter. It's the most liked question I've ever had submitted to the podcast. Can you explain why the Sorare reward system has taken so long to be improved despite it being top priority? I believe even now we still work on a 2-week lag in terms of reward value. So rewards have been a big contentious thing since I remember. What's the story?
Yeah, so there's a short and a long version. So I think the short story is that it's not as trivial or easy as sometimes from the outside it could look. And even like myself, like when I was looking at it at the beginning, I was like, okay, we can do this week and this week and it's done. And then I start to dig and I realize it's really not that easy. And so there's a lot of different components around this, and I think over the summer we focused on some updates that reduce the time it takes for the price pool to update, follow the change in players valuation. So that's one thing where I think we improved. Also, we staffed the team, and we have a way larger team that is working on updates. So that's the short version. On the longer version, so there's a couple of things. So now we are using historic participation and performance data each game week to make sure we're not over or under rewarding in every competition. We also introduced this game modes, specialist and underdog to close the gap between the lineup price and the quality of the reward. We also added a layer that removes and excludes players that have been subject to a big drop in price recently. We added rares and unique rewards in the super rare division when there's enough games in the competition. And as I said, we are keep on working on re-ranking players based on a value a day before closing a fixture, instead of currently it's 1 week lag. So I understand this 1 week lag is frustrating, and this is something that we are committed to improve. And generally speaking, like we have now a larger team that is really focused specifically on this, and so you can expect to see like even more improvements on the reward experience.
Yeah, because it's notorious. Football's notoriously dynamic, and things are constantly changing. And someone picks up a niggle, and no one gets news on it. And I'm sure you've maybe locked the game week rewards in, and then all of a sudden someone doesn't play because they actually tweaked a hamstring, and then this and this and that, and it's a DMP, and will it be rewarded? Or a guy ages out of under 23s, or this or this. A million things can happen. So I understand it's really, really complex. I suppose people always just assume, whenever everyone's looking at it from the outside and they're diehard focused on their players and galleries and their rewards that they've won, often, they think, why didn't you just manually change it? Why wasn't it just manually changed here? Is there a reason why, like, if something big happens, can it just be manually overridden last minute? Or is there like a cutoff point that it's like, okay, it's too late? Like, as in, if on a Monday evening game someone gets injured and they're a star under 23 and they do their ACL, can they still be awarded on the Tuesday? Or is there a way that can be like, oh, take him out Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So it's so then the question is the quality of your feed, and so you need to have very strict rules, because if you do it once for like a specific type
Yeah.
of injury, and then like how do you define that? Like
Mm,
again, like this is a type of topic where when you ask me the question like this, I want to answer yes, we're gonna do it, and yes, it's easy, but actually it's not at all.
yeah.
And so we have this in mind, and I think there's very smart minds in the team that are thinking about this, and again, ways to improve, and there's some manual work that is possible. So let's see what develops. Like
Mm,
I want to get there. I want to get to a point where like you don't get this frustration of the player
yeah.
that has been injured, and I'm sure we're gonna get there at some point. But it's not the case. It's not the case yet. Yeah.
It's not as easy as people think. I think that is an important point, the kind of blurred lines, because I mean, if you take out Florian Wirtz because he does his ACL, people go, okay, yeah, that's fair. Kylian Mbappe, you've just won a tournament. You've won under 23 Rare Pro, and Mbappe comes off in the 83rd minute and he's limping. And then all of a sudden
Yeah.
it turns out he just had a dead leg and he's fine and he's back training 2 days later. And the guy at top saying, like, well, I didn't get a chance at winning my Mbappe and you took him out of the pool, so I understand that.
Yeah, with
I,
rules you need to be consistent, and that's
Mhm.
yeah, that's the hard part. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, look, I think there's a lot of free labor out there for you because there's enough people putting work in to try and post it at you on Twitter. So you've a lot of free labor. Another question which will hit you with another wham bam. So Josh Forth getting the shout for this one, and I'm just going to say it how he said it. You can respond how you wish. Simple yes, no question. No bullshit put off answers, please. Are we going to have the Premier League licensed on Sorare before the end of 22? And the thing just I want to sort of supplement that question with is this, and I feel it's almost terrible, and maybe you don't feel it, and maybe it's just the bias of the sort of spaces I operate in and the echo chamber of the community and blah, blah, blah. But it feels very much within the community, at least the English speaking one, that we aren't really celebrating the wins as much and the big things because everyone's just waiting for the Premier League. So you announce Serie A, you announce a new partnership with the club, you bring out baseball, and everyone's like, when Premier League? When's the Premier League? This is, do you know? And it feels like until this chapter is decided, yes or no, we can't move on and get excited about other things, is how I feel. How do you feel about it, or what's your answer to Josh? I'm
Yeah.
putting this
No,
all on
look.
Josh.
No, I think I feel a bit different. Like when I saw the reactions to the Serie A a few days ago, and even to MLB announcement and so on. I think like a vast majority of people realize these are big
Mm,
additions for the project, for the community. That all of them are like exclusive and long term. So we have a lot of visibility. We are building very solid foundation. So and then yes, obviously, like you have these questions, and I have always been like as transparent as I could, like, because obviously you have conversations that you cannot like discuss too
mm,
much when you have this type of conversations. I think what I can say is, again, that this is my even personal commitment to bring all the top leagues in the world, and I'm very confident that we're gonna get there. And it's not like I've been repeating this over and over, but I think it's more
yeah.
than words. Like I guess you see that it's there's progression, right? Like we keep on adding and adding and adding, and so there's some hard work behind the scenes, and some is sometimes like taking more time, but it's not a reason not to be optimistic. I won't commit on any date because that's not something I can do. But again, like I can only share the fact that this is obviously top priority. We are working
Mm.
very hard, and we are confident.
So whenever you get the Premier League, Nicola, and this Premier League season's already started, how long are you going to wait before you license the cards?
So
I'm
it's
joking.
a it's a
I'm
it's a nice
joking.
way to a nice follow up. No, it's also but this is interesting because sometimes like we just send the Serie A, and sometimes we get, okay, when counts, right? Like
Mm,
it's a lot of this is not on us. Like we have very solid processes, and when we have the pictures, we can launch the counts like 24 hours later. But the
Hmm.
question is, when you sign someone, whatever it is, a team, a league, or whatever, then you need to wait for the media day. Then you need to wait for the people at the club or the
Yeah.
league to send you the picture. Then you need to wait. So then we produce the card. That's fine. That's quick. But then you need to wait for the validation of the card. And I mean, all this back and forth, like it's like most of it is not under our control. Most of it is taking time, and so you end up like the season is well advanced sometimes, and you
Yeah.
start being able to sell the cars. And when you think about like other players in the collectible space, physical collectibles or video game, you see that it's not like instant,
Mm.
because sometimes they need way more time than we do. But we are doing our best once we have the assets to be live as soon as possible.
Yeah. Well, no, look, it's very exciting. I want to ask you just one other thing on that. And again, tell me as much or little as you can, but I imagine a lot of this is probably public knowledge. A lot of us just don't know about it. In terms of like a Premier League license or any league license, for example, is that into different kind of categories? So I imagine like there's a fantasy kind of category. Maybe there's an image right one. Maybe there's a physical card one. Is there different categories there? Are you able to sort of divulge if they've gone to tender, when they did, or which one you've went for? Are you able to say anything on that, or is that kind of
Yeah, there's a stuff. The one thing I can say is that the minimum type of exclusivity that we get, and sometimes it's much broader than this, but the minimum that we have is the fantasy NFT. It's what
Hmm.
the category, the type of game we created. That is the minimum, right? Like fantasy game leveraging NFT cards. So that's the minimum that we get. Sometimes it's much larger than this, and I cannot get into the specifics because then I would like kind of
Hmm.
get into specific contracts, and it's contractually
Yeah,
speaking, I just cannot disclose. But this what I can say is that this is the minimum that we get. Yeah.
very good. Well, look, we'll move on from that. You've had kind of mixed feelings and feedback on the new sort of UX and UI and all the rest, basically the interface for the layman
Yeah.
listener outside, the design of the website. A lot of people, it's one of those, I think, whenever you've been on a platform for a while, I find whenever you switched over initially to the new game page or the new play page, I was like, oh, but it was almost like because I was just so set in my ways on
Yeah.
Sorare, the change was the hard part. And I always wondered, okay, it might be hard for us, these changes that happen, but I have to imagine that behind the scenes, Sorare have done extensive testing on how this looks to a newcomer or how this works, like how engaging or how intuitive this is to someone new to the platform. Like how have you, the UI UX, the whole interface, the app, everything else, how have you found the feedback from it? And is there like sort of data behind it that maybe backs up why you have done it? Or just
Yeah.
talk to me about that.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm gonna answer like very openly this question. Just before, I'm very interested to get your views on like what do you think is part of like you changing your habits versus like us like really like missing the point and do something that is really bad. Like, do you think it's like 80% bad and 20% me changing habits, or the other way around? Like, how do you perceive after a couple of days the couple of changes? Like, what's your mind?
Me, I remember whenever like initial things, so like the big changes, I don't use the app personally. I don't
Yeah,
use the
yeah,
app because the things I want to do are not really doable in the app. And
yeah,
like the auctions, for example, the trade and the
yeah.
buy and sell, and hopefully
Yeah.
that can that come someday, or is that like a regulation issue with like the app store?
It's not regulation, it's conversation with Apple, as you said. So this is something that we are working on, and we want to make
Yeah.
this happen. It's going to take some time, but hopefully we're going to get there.
I think like with the play page, for example, and submitting teams, I'm used to it now. I know where to look. I do think the old page used to be broken up very easily into like limited, rare, super rare, unique.
Yeah,
Whereas this one, it's like they're all listed and it can be a
yeah,
little overwhelming. But that's
yeah,
probably, to be quite frank, a bit of a wheel problem. When you've got a bigger gallery, and
yeah,
you can enter the super rare competitions and other things, maybe it is like, it's almost like the paradox of choice when you look at it and you're like, oh God, where do I start? But I
yeah,
know there are toggles to hide things and turn things
yeah,
on. So it's more just a case of getting used to the functionality of it and learning to use it yourself. And
yeah,
for me, I try and detach myself and look at it from like, okay, take me out of the equation. If I was new and I could just see the limited tournaments, is this more intuitive than
yeah, yeah,
the old system? And it probably is. So
yeah,
like for me, I think I'm kind of like, I don't have much of a problem with the
yeah,
interface, to be honest with you. I
yeah,
just get on with it and I'm learning it. But I do
yeah,
see a lot of feedback and I do get lots of questions about it weekly on the podcast.
yeah,
So for me, I think it was more of a learning curve being stuck in my old ways. But I
Yeah.
think for the community in general, there has been a lot of feedback on it. I don't know
Yeah.
what your thoughts are or how much
No,
feedback you've got.
totally. I'm very much aware of the feedback, and for reading most of it. I think that there's a couple of things where like it's our mistakes, and so when you do mistake, you need to own it. So I'm not afraid to say that
Mm,
we missed the point on a couple of things that we are working on, fixing, and so like most of it is like pages that were very easily accessible and that got like a bit deep in the information
mm,
architecture of the product. So, and pages that like the community wants to have easy access, like the offense and so on. So that we are working on it. There's a couple of other things that are more, I think, stuff that we've, like as you said, like well tested, and we believe is just like changing a bit habits, because I think it's best. It's best for the, yeah, it's best experience for the community. But there are things that we just missed. Well, we just missed the point, and we're gonna fix.
mm. I think it's one of those as well. Like when I try, people who, it's like reviews in general, people will give you feedback when they're overwhelmingly happy or when they're disappointed even just a little bit. So you're going to get all the disappointment, and if someone signs on and just uses the site and has a great time, they're not thinking, oh, this site is designed really well. They're
Yeah,
just
yeah,
thinking, I've just
yeah,
enjoyed Sorare. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
you're going to hear the
yeah.
negativity, not necessarily positivity. But
Yeah,
yeah.
but like the good thing is that we like to try to avoid this. We are running like very regular surveys on
Mm,
the website. So I don't know if you've seen this question. So that's asking the same questions every month, like help you see the progress that you are making on the product, on the user experience, and so on. The last one we've made, I think, was 2 or 3 weeks ago. Was the best score ever we've ever earned since the last 4 years. So I think that's positive. Let's see the next one. There's as you said, there's some stuff that we need to fix. So we're monitoring this, and we're gonna fix the things that we can fix.
brilliant. I'm going to ask you a couple more and then we'll wrap up, Nicholas. So we'll try and fly through a couple of these. Will we ever see like an official loan market in the site? Like, will there be ways to add clauses to things? Like, for example, 10% of future sale value, a percentage of future ETH winnings. That gets very complex, I imagine, from a tech standpoint. But even
Yeah.
just if you take all that bollocks out of it, just loaning in general, is loaning something? Obviously, there's the XP hit, whatever about that. Is it something you could see being introduced formally to kind of protect users who want to do it as one part of it, but equally just to maybe create a more engaging environment where newcomers can come in and maybe pay their 50 quid or whatever and loan some really nice cards for a week? Or is it not
Yeah.
something that's kind of in the immediate plans or even medium term?
I think on a personal level, this is something that is exciting. The question is like, well, why do you prioritize this? Like compared to a lot of things that we've like also discussed today. I think there's a lot we want to do on the gameplay. So we touched on the rewards, we touched on the experiences about collecting and unlocking cool experiences by your performances on the game.
Mm.
And so there's a lot, even on the marketplace. So like I've read a lot of feedback and suggestions around counter offers, like things to help
Yeah.
you like discuss with managers. So like let's not chat about the solution, but like just the problem. I understand it, like, and I think it's a real one. Like when you want to kind of trade, like having solutions to do this, that's basic things that I think we need to solve before going into stuff that are more
Yeah.
complicated. The aim is really to broaden the user base and to have like a more mainstream game. So I'm not saying we're gonna never do it. I'm just saying it's not part of the immediate plans.
Yeah. No, that's fair enough. And it's good to know. You've added a new kind of commission tab whenever you're buying cards, and obviously at the minute Sorare is covering that, at least for the foreseeable, I think was the comms that were put out. So we do know that there will be a commission at some stage in the secondary market, and I think everyone understands that, and I think everyone accepts that, and I don't think there's any pushback. I mean, that's just fair and normal. That's another revenue stream for Sorare to make you more sustainable. Are there any other revenue streams outside maybe selling cards or commission on secondary that could be interesting? Because a question you do see out there at times is the sustainability of Sorare longer term. If maybe users don't come in at the same rate, or prizes don't scale with the amount of entrants, are there any other revenue streams you see for the company?
No, I think first of all, I think that we are in a probably very unique situation in the broader tech world, where the company has been profitable from the very beginning, where we are sitting into vast reserves of cash, and so we have multiple, like a lot of visibility in front of us. And when picking my investors in the company, I'm always picking investors that are thinking like decades ahead and not like next month or next year. So I will never pick someone who's pushing me to make more revenue next week or next month. That's not what I'm optimizing for. And we could have done way more things to bring revenue, like launching a token. Like there's many things that we haven't done and we won't do, because that's just not like what we are optimizing for. So I think there's so that's one thing. Then in terms of thinking about new revenue streams, accounts are one, like the primary market, secondary market, maybe one at some point. And then the one thing that is important to me is really like kind of not undermining the experience, like so ads and all of this, like I'm
Yeah.
not really like keen about this, right? Like needs to stay like like a premium product. And so these are things that I know like we are not looking at. Maybe at some point we're not working on anything like new like so there's actually nothing like exciting I can share in terms of
No, that's
revenue
fair.
stream.
Well,
Yeah.
we don't have time. There's a few more questions there, but we'll have to dodge them for today. But maybe next time you'll be back.
Yeah.
What I'll ask you very quickly before you go: who's your top 3 players for the season? Football. If like, who do you
It's a
support?
good question. I'm supporting Olympique Marseille.
I thought that.
Yeah,
So you'll
that's
be sad about Boubacar Kamara. He's over at Aston Villa now, having a great time. He
yeah,
looks amazing in pre-season.
yeah, that's a big miss for sure. No, I think it's an interesting question. So I think Mbappe is gonna be amazing.
Your friend,
And
is it?
Yeah, I
Your
think
new best mate?
I won't I won't say is a friend, but definitely someone that we are getting closer and closer, and we're gonna do like a lot of amazing things together. I really look forward to seeing Vinicius on a second big year, and seeing like what he's got in store for next year. And who else? I don't know. Like I'm I like Rashford on a human level. I know he has been like it has been difficult for him recently. So I hope it's into like a better season. So I really like to see him at a different level this season. So there's a 3 players that I'm gonna follow today.
3 players that you'd be following on Sorare. Brilliant. Well, look, Nicola, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate your openness and honesty as well. You could have dodged. So maybe we'll see you again in the future. And until then, keep at it. I'm excited to see what the next sport is.
Thank you, John. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed that. Big thanks to Nicola for his time. If you enjoyed it, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe, and go and find us So Far So Rare wherever you listen to podcasts. For all the previous episodes, you can go and binge, and all the future episodes that are going to be coming every single Friday. Bye-bye.